Just imagine this. It's 3 a.m. on a perfectly clear night. The German Autobahn stretches endlessly ahead, empty and silent. No speed limit signs, no traffic. Just pure, unrestricted asphalt disappearing into darkness. But tonight, something unprecedented is about to happen. Sitting at the start line is a machine that was never meant to touch public roads. A modern Formula One car, fresh from the paddock, with its engine still warm and its pilot ready to unleash 950 horsepower onto the world's most famous highway. So what happens when the absolute pinnacle of automotive engineering meets the only road system on Earth where it can truly stretch its legs? Can it reach its theoretical top speed, or will reality crash this high-speed fantasy before it even begins? Let's start with what just rolled onto the Autobahn. This isn't your average supercar. We're talking about a Mercedes W11, the same machine that Lewis Hamilton used to shatter speed records in 2020. It only weighs 798 kilograms or 1,759 pounds without fuel, less than most motorcycles. The 1.6-liter turbo hybrid V6 engine produces nearly 1,000 horsepower, giving it a power-to-weight ratio that makes supercars look like shopping carts. 0 to 60 miles per hour in 1.8 seconds. 0 to 100 in 2.6 seconds. On paper, it can theoretically hit 375 kilometers per hour. That's over 233 miles per hour. But here's the thing about F1 cars. They weren't built for roads. They were built to dominate racetracks under very specific conditions. And those conditions are about to be tested in ways the engineers never imagined. The Autobahn seems perfect for this experiment. After all, it's the only major highway system in the world where significant sections have no speed limits whatsoever. Roughly 70% of the network operates under advisory speeds only, meaning if you want to push 200 miles per hour, legally, you can. The fastest recorded speed on the Autobahn was 268 miles per hour, achieved by a modified Bugatti Chiron in 2022. But that was a road car, designed for this exact purpose. An F1 car is something entirely different. It's a purpose-built racing weapon that's never been unleashed on public asphalt. The driver fires up the engine. The sound is otherworldly. Not the deep rumble of a supercar, but a high-pitched scream that cuts through the night air like a banshee. The car rolls forward, and immediately the first problem becomes obvious. At low speeds, F1 tires are basically useless. They're designed to operate at temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Celsius, heated by the friction of high-speed cornering and braking. That temperature is where water boils. Right now, they're cold, hard, and slippery. The car feels unstable, twitchy, like trying to drive on ice. But as the speed climbs, 50 miles per hour, 100, 150, something magical starts to happen. The aerodynamics kick in. At 100 miles per hour, the car begins generating downforce equal to its own weight. The wings, the floor, the diffuser, every surface is working to suck the car onto the asphalt. At 130 miles per hour, the car is producing nearly 3 times its weight in downforce. It's like an invisible hand is pressing it into the road with tremendous force. The steering becomes razor sharp. The car feels planted, stable, almost supernaturally gripped to the surface. This is what F1 cars were designed for, this perfect harmony of speed and physics. But there's a catch. The cooling system is struggling. F1 engines are designed to operate with massive amounts of airflow at race speeds, but the car hasn't reached those speeds yet. The engine temperature is climbing. The radiators are working overtime, but they need more velocity, more air rushing through the system. It's a race against time. Will the car reach its optimal operating window before the engine overheats? At 150 miles per hour, the car hits its stride. The engine is finally getting the cooling it needs. The tires are at perfect operating temperature. Every system is working in harmony, but now a new problem emerges. The Autobahn isn't an F1 circuit. The surface isn't perfectly smooth. There are slight imperfections, tiny bumps, microscopic variations in the asphalt that wouldn't bother a normal car. But at these speeds, in a car with millimeter-precise ground clearance, every imperfection becomes a potential disaster. The aerodynamics are so sensitive that hitting the wrong bump could cause the airflow to stall, instantly reducing downforce and sending the car into a terrifying slide. The speedometer climbs higher, 175 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour. The car is entering territory that very few vehicles have ever experienced on public roads. But the real test is just beginning. At 200 miles per hour, the F1 car enters a realm where physics becomes the ultimate enemy. The engine is screaming at frequencies that would shatter glass, but it's finally operating exactly as designed. Every component is working in perfect synchronization. The turbocharger is spooling at maximum efficiency, the hybrid system is harvesting and deploying energy seamlessly, and the cooling systems have found their sweet spot. But here's where things get dangerous. The car is now traveling so fast that even the slightest steering input could send it smashing into the barriers. The driver's hands are locked in position, making micro adjustments that normal drivers couldn't even perceive. The aerodynamics are generating forces that would crush a normal person. The downforce pressing the car into the asphalt equals nearly 5,300 pounds, 3 times the weight of a family sedan pushing down on a machine that weighs less than 1,800 pounds. It's like driving while being compressed by an invisible mountain. The pilot feels every breath becoming more difficult as G-forces build through even the slightest curves in the highway. This isn't just fast driving anymore. This is controlled flight at ground level. But the Autobahn has other plans. A slight rise in the road surface appears ahead. Nothing more than a gentle hill that normal cars wouldn't even notice. For the F1 car, it might as well be Mount Everest. As the car goes up the hill, the ground effect aerodynamics suddenly lose their grip on the road surface. The carefully orchestrated airflow underneath the car stalls instantly. In a split second, the car goes from having massive downforce to being essentially airborne. The driver feels the steering wheel go light in his hands, a terrifying sensation that means the front wheels have lost contact with the asphalt. Time slows down. The car is flying now, all 4 wheels off the ground, traveling at over 200 miles per hour with no way to steer, brake, or control its trajectory. This is every F1 driver's nightmare, a complete loss of aerodynamic grip at maximum speed. In this moment, the car transforms from a precisely engineered racing machine into a 1,750-pound projectile with no guidance system. The driver can only hold on and hope that when the car comes back down, it lands straight. The landing happens in milliseconds. The rear wheels touch first, then the front, and suddenly the aerodynamics snap back into effect. The downforce returns like a sledgehammer, slamming the car back onto the asphalt with violent force. The chassis flexes and groans under the impact. The tires screech as they regain contact with the road surface, but the car holds together, barely. The driver regains control, heart pounding, realizing how close he came to becoming a statistic. This is the reality check that separates F1 cars from road cars. Even on the Autobahn, even with unlimited speed limits, the physics of putting a race car on public roads creates scenarios that no engineer ever planned for. The car wasn't designed for the varied surfaces, the unpredictable gradients, the imperfect conditions of real-world highways. Every mile of Autobahn presents new challenges that could instantly end the experiment in disaster. So what happens when you drop an F1 car onto the Autobahn? It dominates until it doesn't. The machine reaches incredible speeds that road cars can only dream of, but it also reveals why some boundaries exist. An F1 car on public roads is like a caged lightning bolt, magnificent, terrifying, and ultimately unsustainable. The Autobahn may have no speed limits, but physics always has the final word. This experiment reveals something profound about the relationship between engineering ambition and real-world physics. The F1 car can indeed unleash its full potential on the Autobahn, reaching speeds that would make supercars jealous. But it also exposes the razor-thin margin between triumph and catastrophe that defines modern racing technology. Every mile becomes a negotiation between what's theoretically possible and what's practically survivable. The Autobahn, for all its reputation as a speed sanctuary, ultimately proves that even unlimited roads have limits imposed by the laws of physics. The F1 car doesn't just reach its top speed, it discovers why that speed was meant for perfectly controlled environments with armies of engineers monitoring every heartbeat of the machine. Perhaps that's the most beautiful part of this thought experiment. It reminds us that some machines are so perfectly evolved for their purpose that taking them anywhere else reveals not their weaknesses, but the incredible precision of their design. The F1 car on the Autobahn isn't just fast, it's a masterpiece of engineering pushed to the absolute edge of what's possible when human ambition meets the immutable laws of physics. And in that moment, between flight and landing, between control and chaos, we glimpse the pure essence of why we build machines that can touch the impossible. And speaking of the impossible, how many Ford F-150s do you think it would take to tow a blue whale? Check out the video on your screen to find out what the laws of physics have in place here. Thanks for watching.